You did a really amazing presentation just a day or two ago on yoga, and I liked it so much that I asked for you to do it again so I could record it for our family and friends. So yeah, let's hear it again.
Okay, thank you, Vivek, and Namaste for
Namaste.
doing this. So let's begin. Today we are going to learn together about the foundation and philosophy and spiritual aspect of yoga using Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So why are we doing that? Because yoga is much more than physical postures, but today yoga is often associated with the physical postures, stretching, and fitness. And there also every day I hear some kind of new style of yoga coming up. Maybe every day is too much, but yeah, a lot of time I see a lot of new stuff. Look at one of the pictures. Two people are drinking beer and doing asana, and they're calling it beer yoga. And then the next one is the goat yoga. They are doing yoga, and then goats are around them. I'm not trying to say here that these are wrong, are not good thing to do. What I'm trying to say here that it's important to also know that there is something deeper than these physical postures, like spiritual and philosophical aspect of yoga also should be considered along with these things. So that's why I thought I will share this little information that I know. So the spiritual aspect of yoga is ancient. Dating, whatever date I'm giving here, please don't take it seriously. It's just to give an idea that it's really, really old. A long time back, Indus Valley civilization, as far as I know, at least 5,000 years old. It could be older. So at that time, there was nothing written or recorded, so it's difficult, that's why, to assess. But they used seals, small seals, just like today we use rupees and dollars as a currency. So they used small seals to do the trading and business and things like that. So one of the seals was found in the excavation, and that's the image showing on this slide that looks like someone is sitting in meditation. So we could say that it's that old. And then that kind of spiritual aspect continued throughout the ages. So in Rigveda, that is the oldest scripture of the world. That is at least 3,500 years old, could be older. The word yog is used in Rigveda as for connecting, yoking. That symbolically could be for mind and senses connecting with higher consciousness. Then major Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita also focus on philosophy and spirituality aspect of yoga. That is also at least 3,000 years old. Then came Patanjali. Between 2000 and 1000 years ago, he organized earlier yogic teachings and practices in a text which is called Yoga Sutra, and that is the guidebook of classical yoga. After him, there were many different physical aspects of yoga also, and there are a lot of texts written on them. But today, I'm only going to focus on Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. Now, who was Patanjali and what is his Yoga Sutra? But then there is a mythical story about Patanjali. Pat means falling in Sanskrit, and Anjali is this posture, this gesture. So his mother was praying for some spiritual person and to offering some water to sun. And at that time, one small snake fell into her Anjali. This is Anjali. And then slowly he became a little boy. So that's why he's called Patanjali. So that Patanjali, and people believe that he's the incarnation of, there is a very mythical snake in Indian, and then he's worshipped a lot. So he's the incarnation of that Shesnag. So he grew up and he compiled Yoga Sutra that contains 4 chapters. It has 194 to 196 sutras. That sutra is a short sentences, or we can say formulas. They look like the one written underneath. It's called, it's very small, Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha. Then later, many commentaries were written to interpret these formulas. So we get a lot of more depth into that, but I will only go over some of the sutras, not the commentaries. And this is how the text looks. So, according to Yoga Sutra, what is yoga? The first chapter of second sutra says Yogash Chitta Vritti Nirodha. What that means is yoga is stilling the fluctuations of chit. Chit is the storehouse of past experiences as well as the strong present ones that we experience. Only strong ones get stored inside the chit. So fluctuation in chitta are caused by senses, all these when we hear, when we see, and things like that, and unresolved desires, strong likes, dislikes, and memories, etc. So, and this sutra is saying controlling or redirecting those fluctuations is yoga. So why should we control fluctuations? One can ask. So the third sutra of the first chapter, right after when he says Yogaschitta Vritti Nirodha, he says Tada Drashtu Swarupe Avasthanam. That means so that one can see or unite with their true nature, or they can establish in what truly is there. And fluctuations keeps us away from our true self, like trying to see the reflection in a disturbed water. This example comes from Vivekanand. He describes that there is outside, we are outside, there is a pond. And then we throw a stone in there, and then the water start moving like that. At that situation, it will be impossible or very difficult to see any reflection in there. But once there is not a lot of strong wind, there is no movement, then water calms down. And then we can clearly see the whatever is around there, maybe full moon, maybe tree, maybe our face, and things like that. So that's the reason to control these fluctuations. And according to that belief also, separation from true self is the cause of all miseries once we are separated. So that's why to unite is the goal, and also meaning of the word yoga. So that's why fluctuation should be calm, and then slowly we unite, and then we can be happy. How to control the fluctuations and reach the goal of yoga? Patanjali describes by following 8 steps, that is called Ashtanga Yoga. Physical posture is only one step, and that also what he mentions about physical posture is very different than what is commonly known today as asana or physical postures or yoga. Every step in those 8 steps is necessary, and they help in reaching the highest goal of yoga. Here are the 8 steps or limbs of yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. So we begin, the foundation is on the bottom, that is step 1, 2, and 3. They are moral, ethical, and physical foundations, and they are called Yam, Niyam, and Asana. And the step 4 and 5 is a bridge between the physical and mental realms. They are called Pranayam and Pratyahar. I will go into detail in the next slides. And then step 6 and 7 are mental practices for one-pointed concentration and meditation. That is called Dharana and Dhyan. Then eventually this state of samadhi comes. This is a state of oneness, union with the highest consciousness, true self, or for some people maybe connecting with God and things like that. But that's the highest state according to yoga. So the step one is yam. Yam is ethical restraint that protects mind from outside disturbances. And that probably is pretty obvious. It says that there are five: Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, and Brahmacharya. What they mean in English is don't lie, don't kill, don't steal, don't be greedy or collect too many things, and don't abuse sexuality. So, if we think deeply, then if we are lying or if we are stealing or if we are not following these things, a lot of mental energy goes towards to hide those things, and then that disturbs the mind. So that's why following these things are important. And in addition, the fourth chapter, I think, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra describes that a lot of power, mental power, and they call it siddhis, are gained by practicing these things if we 100% practice these things. And those powers could be used for destructive things. So that may be harmful to society or other people. So that's the another reason that before anybody does sincerely all the other makes their mind stronger, they should have these ethical values so that they use towards the right direction. The next one is niyam, that is personal discipline. Including these in lifestyle, mind becomes stronger and calmer. So that also feels like pretty obvious. Cleanliness, self-discovery, and discipline, contentment, and surrender to God are unchanging reality. They are called in Sanskrit Shauch, Swadhyay, Tap, Santosh, and Ishwar Pranidhan. And I feel personally, I think the contentment may be very important also, because that creates a lot of mental turmoil when we start looking at other people, what they have, what we don't have. So I think that these are all very important, but to me, I'm just trying to practice, focus on those things. So those are the niyams. And then comes the asana, which is physical posture. And Patanjali, in his Yoga Sutra, there is only 3 for that. There are 196 are sutras, but only 3 mention about physical posture. That is chapter 246 to 48. But there is no specific asana mentioned in his original text. Later on, some people wrote commentaries and added to that different meditative asana and things like that, but not in the original sutras. Asana, what he says is asana should be steady, firm, and comfortable, in which one can stay for a long period of time without any movement. That can be achieved by practice and concentration. And when somebody masters that, then they are not affected by dualities. So that's all he says about the postures. Here are few examples of meditative asana. Sukhasana is happy pose and just sitting in the cross-legged position. And then Virasana is a hero pose, sitting on your knees. And then the Padmasana is mentioned in a lot of deeper scriptures that all yogis ancient time used to sit like that and do meditation in that. It's supposed to keep even more firm position, but it's hard. So, and there are many other asana also, but and they all have health benefits, majority of them, but that's not the focus of this talk here right now. So then how do we apply these Ashtang in the modern age? So I can give my example what I am doing it. People may want to use that and make their own way of applying these things if they are serious about yoga practice. So here are the step 1 and 3 how I'm trying to include into my lifestyle. Daily, I try to remind myself first the yam and niyam. I remember all those 10 things and I see that where I am succeeding, where I'm failing, where I need to work a little bit harder, because they do make sense to me, so I work on that. And then I have selected and I practice a few asanas according to my bodily needs. For example, I have a thyroid, so there are a few asanas that benefits. So I make sure that I include them in my daily practice. And then I also pay attention to what is harmful to my body. Not every asana in the textbook or in yoga classes are being taught is important and necessary for everybody. Certain postures can harm a person. For example, if you have glaucoma or something like that, there are certain head down posture could be damaging. So those are the things people should learn through a good teacher and make sure that they don't do that.
And we made a video, I don't know, maybe like a year ago on your yogic practice, like what asanas you do and like what does that look like. So I'll put that link in the description.
Thank you, Rita. And then during practice and throughout the day, yoga is not only what you do just for 1 hour or 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. It should be the lifestyle. So during practice, I do this, what I said now, and then throughout the day, I try to focus on my posture, including when I'm sitting even on the chair. I try to see, I definitely forget time to time, but then I'm trying to pay attention to that. And then I also try to gradually increase the time of staying in one posture. So that's how I'm applying these step 1, 2, 3. And then the step 4 is pranayam. Pranayam also is here these days being thought as just the breath control. But Patanjali defines pran as a cosmic life energy which flows as breath in everyone. So breath is a medium, but that's not everything. And that helps with the fluctuations of mind and prepares for the next step. So he mentions only 4 types, that is inhaling, exhaling, and holding. And then the 4th one is effortless breathing that comes in advanced stages of meditation without trying. So that's just a natural 4th one. So, however, later many varieties of pranayam were mentioned or taught. They also have many health benefits, but that's not in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So, for health point of view, we should be breathing deeply, but we usually don't. As a result, only 10% of our lung is active. We all may have experienced at times the effect of emotions on breathing, like when we are angry or excited, the breath definitely. So if we can just focus on that, then we can calm ourselves down. Here are just a few examples that I can mention, which is Kapalabhati is energizing and cleansing.
And then could you do it?
You see it?
Yeah, might as well, because then people will apply it.
So it will be very. Then we can do it later.
Let's just do it, because we'll do a more thorough video later. But like you did at that event, I think people appreciated it.
And so Kapalabhati is just forceful breathing out. So first you put inside, inhale, and then. So this may bring some thing out, so you should keep something close to you. But then that's energizing and cleansing exercise. It helps to me also with allergies because this takes things out. And then the Dirgha Pranayam, there's a 3-part breathing. As I mentioned above, that we should breathe deeply. So the way to know that whether we are breathing or not, maybe we can put the hand on the tummy and here, and then when we inhale, try to feel that the stomach is coming out and this thing. So first fill up this area, then this area, then gradually remove them. That's the Dirgha Pranayam that gives a practice of deep breathing, because usually we only breathe up to here and exhale. It will be hard to see there, but I did describe. And then there is Anulom Vilom, that is alternate breathing. They say it balances. I think there needs to be some research on that. Maybe there is. It balances left and right side of brain and gives energy. It's also somewhere I read it's good for blood pressure and things like that. So for that, this is the hand, and then you close the right one. Deep breathe from left, and then you open this one and exhale from that side. It's so there are a few different varieties there also. We can do in a different
No, and so at the event you also talked about the box breathing through there, and
Yeah.
online, like, all these people are like, oh, box breathing is so great, but sometimes they forget to mention that this yogic breathing has had it for thousands of years. So can you just go over the box breathing too, just because it's...
Box breathing is same. Like you just close one. I do this way, but you can do both nostril also. You inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for counting 4, and then count again outside for 4. That is box breathing. So, but I do, I combine that with Anulom Vilom. For example, I do... So I counted 4, 4, 4, 4, so it became box breathing.
And we'll do a more thorough one of these later.
Yeah.
This is good.
And then the Ujjayi is a calming, it's an ocean kind of sound. You need to, it calms you. Some people say it feels like they are rocking in the swing. It's very soothing. So for that, you just bring your chin to this area and then try to create, I can hum or something. So that calms the nerves inside, they say. And then there is, I really like this cooling pranayam because I have a lot of heat inside. So then Shitali and Sitkari, they're 2 cooling pranayam that it cools down inside. And then the second one is like this. I feel the coolness inside, so I like these pranayams. And then applying this step 4, what I do, I've selected Priyu Pranayam according to my bodily needs. Again, there are certain things with the high blood pressure, the Kapalbhati should not be done for the long period of time. Doing 10 times is good, but not like you're doing for 5 minutes, 10 minutes or something like that. So that sort of knowledge should be there when people doing asana pranayam. So I have read a lot, and then I try to apply those things so that they're not giving me disadvantage rather than advantage. So I first sit in Sukhasana, that is very important, and then I make sure that my spine is lengthened, and then I practice those examples Vivek made me show right now. So those are the things I do. Then again, like asana, I also throughout the day, this was just the morning practice I do, but then throughout the day, I try to be mindful of my inhalation and exhalation. Sometimes I am sad, and then I can clearly feel that I'm not able to breathe properly, and then sometimes I have to do like that. Then I remind myself and correct my posture, and then I try to bring the breath in and out. It definitely helps a little bit. And then I notice the length where it's going, and then I also try to remind whenever I can, it calms me down, that I remind myself that we are all breathing the same air and we are all connected through this breath at this moment. So those are the things I try to apply. Then step five is pratyahar, that prepares mind for dharana. And what pratyahar is, withdraw or disengage these senses, all these senses, from their objects by bringing them inwards. We will understand more later. So our senses are the main cause of fluctuations. Eyes see something and mind makes an opinion. Okay, this, I didn't like it, or I like it. So as soon as I like something, there is a craving, and it's not necessarily I will always get that. So that gets imprinted here, and then maybe here, maybe somewhere else, but somewhere inside they get imprinted, and then they become later on a cycle to cause pain and miseries and all that. So, but if I didn't like something, that also gives trouble. So, so that's why pratyahar practice strengthens the mind and protects from fluctuation. It is like closing the curtain. So then you are inside. Let's see how we can do that. I have some example here. So applying Ashtang in modern age, step 5 is again this all the time for all yogic practices. We have to remember to sit in a comfortable position. The spine should be erect, and the alignment should be there like that. So then what works for me for temporarily, for a little bit, doing this Brahmari with Shanmukhi Mudra, that closes the 6 gates of 4 senses. I think skin is the 5th one that we cannot do anything about it, but it closes both ears, closes both eyes, closes the both nostrils, and then mouth is closed. So we first inhale deeply, and then we close everything, and then start releasing the air from the nostrils with a sound like a bee. So that is that calms me down definitely, and I do that every morning. So I can't do that all the time, but yeah, that at that time, after a lot of practice, then now I can, once I do 7 times, then I do hear a different kind of sound inside my brain or my ear or something. So that feels nice. And then sometime I see some light here also, but not all the time. And then throughout the day, I don't succeed, but I do try to see an object without forming any opinion or making any judgment. And then same way I listen, listen and hear are same. I smell and I touch and taste without liking, disliking, agreeing or disagreeing. That's another way of practicing this pratyahar throughout the day. So
And then can you do the Brahmari or whatever?
yeah.
Yeah.
I have to take this off.
Good.
Oh, I'm using this just now. So when I was making sound, slowly little bit air coming out, and once I run out of breath, then I take another deep breath. So, and then you continue 7 times I do. So that was pratyahar. Now comes the step 6, that is dharana, and that is the concentration on one object. it could be a flower, a candle, a word om, our body part, our breath, or any other non-material thought. And they act like a seed or anchor. When mind runs away, then one should try to bring the mind back to that particular, whatever method works. It People can try whichever one works or things like that. Vivek has very unique meditation. Maybe people can try that one too. So this is the first step towards the higher consciousness. So far this was all preparation. Now this is what maybe we can call meditation or whatever. This is the tiny step towards that actual goal. So how do I apply that? So I again sit in comfortable position, keeping the alignment, keep the breath stable, withdraw senses, and then I try to chant a mantra, because that there is some mantra that calms me down. And then I also try to practice vipassana meditation, which is focusing on the breath. It's hard for me, but that's the way I try the dharana. Whenever it runs away, I bring it back. And it runs away a lot. Then comes the one-pointed and uninterrupted concentration for longer period of time. So once that dharana is there, then dhyan is the next step. That it's a dharana. It was running away, you bring it back. Running away, you bring it back. So this becomes longer period. Like it still runs away, but then you bring, but at least you can stay there. I have never experienced this, so I don't know how it feels like it, but it does. They describe that the practice becomes long and constant, and mind wanders less, and fluctuations are reduced. So I don't even know this part. So samadhi is far far away. So. But it is more than the meditation as we know today. A state of oneness occurs at that time. There is integration with the object of dharana or dhyan, whatever people are trying to do. But that should be beyond material things or achievements, because there is no ending of material focusing on material thing. There will be success come. There is also when people do a lot of big things, they have very focused dharana and dhyan, but then it doesn't bring you to that samadhi state. That's the difference, because it should be beyond material things and achievements. That's how I have understood. So then all fluctuation disappear in total calmness. A person becomes one with the true self, nature, universe, humanity, God, whatever. There are many, many things. That is the actual meaning of word yog, union. And Patanjali describes there are several other steps in samadhi stage also. I didn't go over that because that's too complex. So these are the 8 steps. So in conclusion, yoga is not merely something we do. Yoga is the transformation of how we live, think, and experience reality. Through ethical living, self-discipline, and meditation, yoga leads us to discover our deepest nature. Body discipline is important, but destination is the mind and heart and the spirit. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra teach that yoga is a disciplined path toward mastery of the mind. Thank you, Vivek. Namaste.
Thank you, Mother. Awesome.